Marriages between members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints solemnized in the Holy Temple. You know what I'm saying? It's just such
eternal
a mouthful.
marriages, bro.
They found that one of the reasons why our marriages end in divorce far less frequently is because our women are, quote, 18% significantly hotter.
This is gonna be the best day ever. This is gonna be the best day ever. Wake up.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Ward Radio. I'm your host, Cardin Ellis, and today I'm joined via Zoom by none other than Brad and Riley Whitbeck. We got Riley in the studio today, as well as Jonah Barnes, the Associate Professor of All Things Apocryphal. Speaking of apocryphal, we read an article today that caught my attention here. Somebody just texted me this super cool article. It says, we sent out 80,000 postcards to Latter-day Saints in the U.S. Here's what we learned. This coming from Deseret News. Now, I don't know who the we was necessarily, whether it was Deseret News or another organization. I found out later on that this was by Josh Coates and somebody named Stephen Craney. It looks like they did some serious research here and came up with some really, really cool data. There was five data points they found, but the one that really stuck out to me, was the LDS marriages. Jonah, correct me if I'm wrong. Brad, correct me if I'm wrong. LDS marriages are 3 times more likely to succeed. Did I read that right?
Yes, they said, quote, we found that the divorce rate for temple marriages is about 3 times lower than the national average. So that's not just civil marriages that happen to include Latter-day Saints. That is marriages solemnized in our temples 3 times less likely to end in divorce, which is nothing to sneeze at.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Was there any other data that they offered and that showed why marriages, Mormon marriages, okay, that's freaking 3 syllables. Marriages between members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints solemnized in the Holy Temple. You know what I'm saying? It's just such
eternal
a mouthful.
Marriages, bro.
Eternal marriages. Okay, fine. Yeah. That's good. That's good.
They actually get a blessing with every syllable.
Yeah. So they got responses back, including portraits of the recipients. They found that one of the reasons why our marriages end in divorce far less frequently is because our women are, quote, 18% significantly hotter than.
That is true.
Makes sense.
Wait, just 18? Are you sure?
It's got a swing in there, yeah. But that's what it said. 18% significantly, objectively, just better looking women, which lowers the divorce rate apparently. So
I am only 75% sure you're joking.
That's funny. Well,
Riley, I never joke. Ask Brad.
So
Jonah is the most serious person on this podcast.
I do know that.
So, let's just dive right into the data, my man. Let's dive right into the data here. And they cite some significant studies here by Pew Research, religious landscape studies, some going as far back as 2014, some more as recently as within the past 5 years. You sent me some screenshots here that I found really interesting. Let's just dive right in, my man. Which one should we do first?
Sure. Well, the first one in the Discord is a snippet, which is German for snippet, of a study that shows that Latter-day Saints are more likely to be married than members of most other religions. Now, this is about 9 years old. And so back then they were still calling us Mormons, but that's why it says Mormons. But it says that members of the Church of Jesus Christ are 66% of the people that they served were married, against 52% of Christians overall, 48% of adults in the U.S. overall, and 37% unaffiliated. So there's a more likely chance that members of the church are going to be married. Why? Because our women are better looking. That's what I think. That's just what I think.
That's the only reason it could possibly be.
Yeah, thanks for making us look like a bunch of degenerate, superficial jerks. But, I just...
Pardon. Are you talking here? You?
Oh, no, I fully admit it. I just wouldn't want to besmirch all my other fellow priesthood holders by sharing the moniker. I still like keeping up appearances, right?
It's the light in our eyes. The light of living the gospel.
Like, you mean the ring light or the gospel light? Yeah.
That one too.
So I do think that's really fascinating. Especially when you think about the way that sometimes people talk about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints being a high demand religion, right? And the way that it actually asks things of its members. I think it's fascinating to see that hey, here's this measurable quantifier that by all accounts kind of really just improves your life, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
You know what we need to start saying is when they say you're a high demand religion, we need to say, well, you get what you give. So we're actually a high, like receiving
High
religion.
yield
High
religion.
High yield religion. Like you get more out of it because it's high demand. So, all right, fine. It makes you happier. Your marriages are more stable. Also, the next one screenshot that we have there, Cardin, is about children, saying that members of the Church of Jesus Christ have more children than Americans of other religious groups by a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Average number of children born to adults who are members of the church, 3.4, because sometimes they're really small.
Oh, yeah. Unaffiliated is 1.7.
Really short kid? Like,
Yeah, just really small. Yeah, I don't know. Little Kwaku-sized kids.
oh my God.
Well, I don't know. He's getting pretty big.
0.4.
He's getting pretty big now.
By the way, this is a total tangent, but we went boating one time with Kwaku. That guy is shredded. Is anybody? You could grate cheese
He has
on
been
that man's.
working on that, I believe.
Great
Yeah.
Scott, that dude is.
The work's paying off, man.
Yeah.
Woo! He goes to the gym all the time, and I'm like, do you really need to go to the gym? Oh, that's why.
It's
Oh my
almost
God.
as though being
High
physically.
demand, high yield.
Exactly. I was about to say it's almost as though being physically fit is a high demand. I don't know, not business, but a high demand lifestyle.
Religion, if it's CrossFit. Yeah.
Religion, if it's
Yeah.
CrossFit or Orange Theory. So anyway,
Yeah,
okay.
so
Ah,
the
yeah.
members of the Church of Jesus Christ have 3.4 average children, whereas Christians 2.2, most U.S. adults 2.1, and unaffiliated 1.7. Now, if you know the math, you have to have 2.1 replenishment rate, or else you're not perpetuating your nation. So it sounds like the 1.7 unaffiliated
So
are
what,
not pulling their load here.
They're kind of dropping the ball.
We're going to put anybody on a boat and just float them off into the Pacific. It's going to be people who are affiliated in their religion. I'm thinking that's a good way sorting through and finding those people. Just
Sounds really reasonable, Jonah. Definitely.
a cruise. We're paying a cruise tickets for everybody who's unaffiliated religion. And we're just going to let them drift out to sea.
That's how Australia happened, right? Just a cruise. They were going to
The
pay.
unaffiliated.
you literally sound like the people that invented the society in Divergent of the castless. You know what I'm saying? Like, good job sounding literally not just like an 18th or 19th century dictator, but just like a futuristic one, But that's funny.
Dystopian dictator, the best kind.
So
Yeah.
the unaffiliated have 1.7 children on average. All U.S. adults ages 40 to 59 average 2.1. Christians are strutting 2.2. And members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, aka Mormons, are at 3.4. So dare I say that wokeism has proven to tank your birth rate, which I do believe is anti-Mormon rule like number 17 or 18, that it always tanks your birth rate. And as America goes woke, it's manifest in the measurable quantifiers. And what can we learn about the religious folks? That a Christian society, bare bones evangelical anti-Mormon Christian, survives. You need 2.1 to survive a replenishment birth rate, but they got 2.2, so they will survive. But 3.4, that's thrive. That's thrive right there.
Well, survive 2.2, but how many of those are converting to the Church of Jesus Christ every year? Oh, yeah, so they're not going to replenish themselves.
Yeah. That
So
was a good
basically,
one.
we're saying, by their fruits ye shall know them, meaning by their birth rate ye shall know them.
Yes.
Be true, right?
Exactly.
Their lines.
So,
Oh, gosh.
That's what you said.
Now the last
Gotten
thing
those
we
words.
Now, the last thing we put in the Discord was regarding the first thing we mentioned about divorce. And this comes from Mormoner website. It says it's a compilation of studies, actually a very useful website. This is in regards to Latter-day Saint divorces. It says, are Latter-day Saint marriages more stable? Only 9% of Latter-day Saints identified as divorced. That's compared to 15% of Catholics, 16% of Buddhists, 17% of Protestants, and so on and so on. Unaffiliated, 17%. So in
Now,
terms
did you
of
say 9% or 90?
9%, only 9%.
Okay,
90.
that's better. That's better.
Oh, I'm sorry. It
I
sounded
thought
like
I heard 90 for a second. I was like,
To identify as divorced, is that different than being divorced? But
Oh, I don't know.
9 makes sense. 9 makes more sense.
Yeah.
the others are all, it's complicated.
When the stake calls for a marriage a marriage seminar, I identify as.
Oh gosh.
Oh, dude.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Dude. So it's actually kind of funny because, unfortunately many members have watched this show that my mother just recently passed. It was a family tragedy, happened way too early and everything. I've spoken about it on the show, but that means my dad's now a very reluctant bachelor, and he's starting to get like the awkward way too early, like invitations to like Facebook groups and like all this other stuff. And he's like, I hate this, but he's a handsome devil. So I can see why. But it's really interesting reading these stats, and there were some things that surprised me. It surprised me the demarcations that they had amongst those that were interviewed, like Catholics, Buddhists, evangelical Protestants. Then historically black Protestants was 30%. And I was like, okay, well, how do you, like, what makes something a historically black Protestant? Like,
are they talking like the Black Southern Baptist Church, or?
Well, that's what I was wondering. I was like, okay, well, to me that seems like a really, really small subset of Christianity, so small that I don't know if I would put it right up next to Catholics. And then also, what's a mainline Protestant? Is that? Are you just taking the black members of because there's black Presbyterian churches, but do you count that as mainline Protestant, or do you count that as historically black Protestant? I'm not sure, but the big outlier was historically black Protestants. And so I don't know if that was just some kind of fuzzy math because they were doing some strange demarcations. And then also where it said Orthodox Christians define Orthodox.
Like Eastern Orthodox, or
exactly. Like, are we going like Byzantine here? Do we have some buddies that floated over from the Greek Orthodox Church? Like define Orthodox. So I wasn't exactly sure how to ingest all of that information from 2021 and what all the rubric was, but I thought it was super interesting that only 9% of Latter-day Saints identified as divorced. And I thought that was like a really good sign that we're doing something right. What do you think we're doing right, guys, to make it so that only 9% of us are divorced? I mean, what is it? We're all married here. Here, Riley, you're the girl in chief. What does Brad do right? No, I'm just kidding. You're too mushy for me. I don't want to hear your answers. But besides being an amazing, I'm not going to say it. No, I'm just kidding. Besides being an amazing lover, those Canadians.
I thought you weren't going to say it.
Well, I euphemized it. So anyway, what culturally, because this is was this just in North America? Was this survey?
I think it was U.S., right?
It was the U.S. Okay.
The one in the Deseret News. Yes, that was United States.
Okay, so culturally in America, what do members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints do differently that makes their marriages far more successful? We're talking at least twice, sometimes 3 times more successful than other demographics. What is it culturally that you think we do that makes us more successful?
Here's what I think. And I'm sure there's a lot of factors, but one thing I think is that we, from a very young age, from age 8 is when we make our first covenant, right? So from a very young age, we're taught that covenants are important, that promises that we make actually matter. And so that carries on into adulthood. And when you make that promise in the temple to be with someone for eternity, you take it a lot more seriously because of the eternal implications and the fact that you're so used to that mindset of, when I make a commitment, I keep to it. So, I don't know. That's what I think.
Has that carried you through the myriad fights and discordant arguments you've had?
Hold on to that belief.
The only thing we've got.
So we trap.
It's all we've got left.
We trap them like religious Pavlov's dogs by making them do covenant after covenant after covenant.
I stay.
And then they're so used to keeping covenants that they stay in marriages. No, I'm just kidding. I would be the best.
That up for me.
I would be the best anti-Mormon out there. I could be even more cynical with sound bites than all the rest of them, right?
Are you proud of that?
I don't know.
Riley's absolutely right. So this is a segue. It's going to come back. Don't worry about it. But I know, because sometimes I look at our comments, that we're going to get some antis and some of our Christian brothers and sisters who are going to be very angry with the Latter-day Saint conception of marriage. We believe that after you die, if you're sealed, then you can be with your family forever. That includes your spouse. That is something very strange and unique to our religion. something that many of our Christian brothers and sisters take issue with, because in Matthew chapter 22, Christ says famously, "For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven." And many of our Christian brothers and sisters say, "Well, there is no marriage after death. You guys, your belief in marriage is wrong." Well, this is just, the guys, we're like a snap, okay? You don't like the taste of this video, you're going to learn something anyways. You're going to turn the cap over, learn a little factoid. Today, we're going to learn a little factoid, okay? In Greek, the word for marriage, there's two of these words in many ancient languages. This is the case. One is for men getting married. One is for women getting married. He says they neither marry nor are given in marriage. Men marry, women are given in marriage. It is a perfective verb. The Greek verb is gameo or gamizo if it's unconjugated. That means that when Christ was talking about this, he was saying, in the resurrection, you can't make new marriages. Men can't make them, women can't make them. You're done. You can't make new marriages. All the marriages have already been figured out. Later on in section 132, the Lord reveals to the modern day prophets that if you're not sealed by his word, then your marriage doesn't mean anything anyways after the resurrection. Okay? So this is how we interpret this verse from Matthew 22. I'm just trying to get ahead of all those haters out there who are jealous that our women are more beautiful, that our marriages are happier, who are going to be like, well, in Matthew 22, it says you can't be married. No, get that out of your head.
Whoa.
All right? Verse Greek, okay? That's not what he was saying. There you go. That's my rant. That's my Snapple. Now you've learned something.
Well,
so, I actually think it's a twofold answer in going along with what you guys have said. Jumping off of what you're saying, Jonah, I think the very concept of marriage is an eternal thing is such a big factor here, because I think that plays into who you choose.
So why do Mormons marry so fast then after knowing each other for 2 weeks?
No, that's true. You grew up in Springville.
Right?
You grew up in Springville. That's a Springville thing.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Careful.
Year.
Some of us here were literally engaged after 2 weeks, okay?
Yeah, that was Jonah, actually. Yeah.
All right, let's be careful, all right?
And it worked, though. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and Jonah, how many kids do you have?
Just 6 or something, you know. So it's still, it might not
There's no
last.
way that was a lucky guess. There's no way you just guessed and said, I bet I'm going to like you in 10 years from now.
But it's a thing that we do pray about, right? And people really try to focus on getting it right, you know? And I think that kind of level of sanctity that we give to marriage really makes it very special, that we think this is going to be the only time we get married, and it's going to be for eternity. You know, there's no out, not even death. Like, it's not till death do us part for us, right? So like, you got to get it right. And so I think that leads to more like focus on being certain that you've gotten the right decision, you know?
Yeah.
And then outside of that, I actually think this one, there's been some studies that have been done about this. Like, we don't cohabitate before marriage. That's something that if you're getting married in the temple, it's very unlikely that you've cohabitated before marriage. And if you have, you've gone through a repentance process before going through the temple, right? And so I think, like, studies have shown that if you are cohabitating before marriage, you end up with lower marital satisfaction and you're more likely to get divorced. That's just the way the numbers land. And so
is
I think
cohabitate your euphemism for sex?
No. Like literally live together, right?
No, I was just kidding.
Oh, habitate.
I was just kidding.
I didn't know everything is about that.
So here's my yes, it is. I read Freud. I'm erudite. I have a college degree. I know things. Okay. No.
Sorry,
so
I heard you say I read Fortnite. What did you say?
No, Freud. I read Sigmund Freud.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Didn't Freud write Fortnite though? I thought Freud wrote Fortnite.
Some might call Fortnite very Freudian. But
Pretty sure.
Okay,
I hope not.
I'm only 75% sure he's lying.
Yeah. So anyway, actually, I will mirror what the wise and erudite Riley said, because the most well-adjusted children are children that come out of religious households, especially religions that have very well-codified rites of passage. That is something that helps children grow developmentally, both spiritually, physically, socially, so on and so forth, are those rites rites of passage, and the fact that in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we believe in like, an actual physical apotheosis, that men can become like God, that, gender is eternal, marriage is eternal. All these things have eternal significance. We have put emphasis on correctly making and keeping covenants. And with me and my wife, for example, we dated for a short period of time. I got married late in life. I was 29 when I got married. She was 23. And I know, yeah, I was 29 when I got married, man.
A full-on menace to society.
How'd you wait that long, man?
Dude, I'm telling you, man. So I'm stoic. I'm like an oak, So anyway, I got married to Brittany when I was 29, and I was just having this talk with some young people here literally just yesterday when they were kind of hemming and hawing about the law of chastity and this and that. And I said, look, our church has done a great disservice because we haven't explained the practical applications of law of chastity and how it actually generates happiness. We've done a good job of like just assuming the Protestant mantle around us and making all these stupid shame-based arguments when we like drop the ball and are confronted with why should we do this when the rest of the world isn't, we just kind of divert to silly, stupid Protestant answers. But when me and Brittany started dating, because we wanted to try and quote do it right and keep our covenants and so on and so forth, we had to try together to keep the law of chastity. And there were times where I was better and there was times where she was better. But at the end of the day, we did, and we made it to the temple. We got married there. And I told these young people when I was talking to them, I said, having children and being a successful father is the single most happy thing I've ever done. No award I've gotten, no accolades I've received, no amount of money I've earned has compared to the joy that I have had being through the trials and the ups and the downs and the goodness and the badness with both my wife and my children. And the only way you can get there and have a successful family statistically is through marriage. And marriages need to function, and you have to get over difficult things together. And the first hard thing that we ever did together was keeping the law of chastity and waiting to have sex until we were married. And so it was kind of like our training ground. And we needed that because like within only maybe about 24 months of us being married, we had a daughter that had a life-threatening cancer. We had to live in a children's hospital for 15 months. We ended up having all these crazy issues that happened with her family, with business, with work, with contracts. Life got extremely hectic, extremely fast in situations where we should have been a statistic. We should have been one of those, 50% of first marriages that fail and everything, but it didn't, because we had done that first hard thing together and had trained ourselves how to work together. And so I think you're right, Riley. I don't want to give you credit because you're a woman and I believe in patriarchy and horses.
I understand.
But have you seen the Barbie movie?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've literally been saying that now, and I can see who has seen the Barbie movie or not just by saying like, I'm sorry, I believe in patriarchy and horses. And then like some people some people just walk away thinking you're a bigot, but it's really, really funny. So anyway,
there's one extra thing.
Yes. Brad and then Jonah.
Okay. No, Jonah, you go first.
Well, I was just going to say, so one other part of this is that, that our religion, the religion that was restored by Joseph Smith, exalts the everyday. Our religion exalts the work of being a father and a mother. We believe that there is no greater, more divine calling than being a father or mother. So some dude who goes out every day and digs ditches or shovels goat poop or fixes plumbing is just as godly as someone who sits in the temple all day reading the Torah. Okay? Joseph Smith restored that religion, that when you are raising your children, when you're teaching them to be patient with each other, when you're helping them with their math homework, or when you're doing a paper route with them, you are doing God's work. There is no higher work than that. And that is something unique to our religion. It's something I don't think we appreciate how crazy that is, that our Christian brothers and sisters reject the idea that families are eternal. They don't have that. All of the LDS offshoots in the early days of the church also reject eternal families. Eternal families is unique to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and it exalts parenthood and families, and that's, I think, the core of why our marriages are just better.
Actually,
it's because a lot of times there are lots of people who have served a mission, and your spouse isn't your worst companion. You've had a worse companion before.
So true.
when I found out Riley,
the bottom of the barrel, and you're like, you know what? It's not as bad as that.
yeah,
That's true.
I am so grateful for Riley's bad companions.
I didn't have any bad ones.
Oh, you want to say that to Hermana? I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna say that.
Oh, that would be, dude. I am gonna edit in.
I was just gonna say the names I remembered, and they were gonna be like the good ones, and they'd be like,
Her eyes got big.
That was really funny.
She was like, who are you gonna say?
So anyway, I am just pleased to see that a little bit of research here by our boy Josh Coates here and his 80,000 postcards has yielded. Is that grammatically correct? Or did yield? Let's just go old school. Did yield
Hath yolden. Right? Yeah, that's
some pretty interesting data here, in which we find out that not only do members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints stay married longer, but they have more successful marriages with more children, which is kind of cool and makes me very hopeful for the future of all these young people. Yep.
I'm actually super excited to see the upcoming articles that are going to be coming out after this, because that marriage stat is just brushing the surface, I think, of what they talk about here. They talk about some basic demographic stuff, moral foundations theory, and then asking respondents about their beliefs related to a host of other topics. And then they found that there were like 2 very different ways that respondents answered to those questions. So I'm super fascinated to see what that comes back looking like, right?
Okay.
A cliffhanger on this article, if you will.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see what it says.
All right, cool. Well, guys, as always, it's been real and it's been fun. It's been real fun. For this and more, please check us out at wardradio.com.
This is gonna be the best day ever. This is gonna be the best day ever. Wake up, top of the morning. The bacon is crispy, the coffee is pouring. My meditation is peeling an orange. The bank says I'm already scoring. I got a parking spot right outside. Step into my brand new ride.